मैं तो दिल्ली में रहता हूँ और रेडियो फीजी बहुत रेडियो फीजी रोज सुनता हूँ.
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन.
Good evening, Fiji. In this bulletin, Fiji continues lobbying for travel bubble. COVID-19 economic woes to be prolonged. And local airline experiences business slowdown.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Jackie Spate.
Fijians are being advised to expect the economic situation to get worse before things get better. Prime Minister Bainimarama says based on the state of the global market, our economy is likely to continue feeling the effects of COVID-19 for the time being.
The economic and financial effects of the coronavirus have spared no one, from the largest to the smallest markets globally.
Meaning the coronavirus-fueled collapse of the world economy will likely get worse before it begins to relent. Like most other nations, Fiji is deeply connected with the rest of the world, and like most other economies, our businesses, industries and citizens have been affected.
In the next day or two, Minister for Economy Aya Said Kayum is expected to announce the second round of COVID-19 unemployment benefits to be paid out in partnership with the Fiji National Provident Fund. Bainimarama adds the government is also closely monitoring and working with businesses in various sectors and financial institutions to provide targeted support.
The coronavirus is the challenge of our generation. If our campaign presses onwards to total victory, when the history books recount the difficulty of this period, they will tell of how Fijians led the way in beating this virus for good. And around the world, as the larger war against this virus rages on, I hope our friends and partners can take comfort from what's been achieved in Fiji.
Community leaders, businesses and ordinary people have been urged to stay the course and do what must be done to avoid needless death and suffering. As of tonight, it's been 4 full weeks since Fiji last recorded a positive case of COVID-19. Edwin Nand, FBC News.
Fiji continues to lobby for inclusion in a travel bubble with Australia and New Zealand. Economy Minister Aya Said Kayum says talks have been ongoing with the respective countries, and Fiji is not resting on its laurels, working to ensure they have the necessary measures in place to safely open up the borders in the coming months. Maggie Boyle reports.
Resuming international travel by reopening Fiji's borders safely is a reality in the making as talks with our biggest tourist markets continue.
We want to be able to know what can we do in the meantime to be able to prepare ourselves in the event or when it does actually open up. So we need to be, all geared up for that. Whether it's, regulatory frameworks in respect of medical protocols, etc., that we need to be developed. And we can start those conversations now.
With no timeline in place, top of the agenda is Australia and New Zealand finalising a bilateral agreement.
We are still working with New Zealand to put in place the Trans-Tasman bubble, and that is some time away. As you're probably aware, there are still active coronavirus cases in Australia. But once the work has been done to open up the Trans-Tasman bubble, we will look very quickly at including Fiji in that as well.
However, containing the coronavirus and ensuring there are no further imported cases will be the main priority.
Our principal concern is to make sure that the health of New Zealanders, Australians and Fijians are protected. We don't want to be reinfecting Fiji or New Zealand.
Fiji initially closed its borders to all international passenger flights in March, a safety precaution which has been extended until the end of June. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
Raids continue to be conducted on inter-island vessels in a bid to curb the transportation of illicit drugs from maritime islands. Another raid was conducted yesterday, which resulted in the seizure of dried leaves believed to be marijuana wrapped in clear plastic and packed inside a carton used for rubbish. The joint operations conducted by officers from Totongo K9 team with Fiji Revenue and Customs officials, Drugs and Waterpolo yesterday saw officers boarding the boat out in the Suva harbour. A team conducted preliminary work before the K9 unit and other officers boarded the vessel, but suspects disposed of the parcel before any arrests could be made. Local airline Northern Air is trying to stay in business despite the challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic. The company, which flies to 5 destinations, has lost more than $500,000 in revenue following the suspension of local flights in March. Pranita Prakash with the details.
Airplanes only make money when they are up in the sky, but most of these birds are generating zero revenue.
We've got 8 aeroplanes, but they're 25% operational right now. You'll see that most of the airplanes are sitting on the ground right now. They got no work, and I can understand. People have got financial difficulties. They're going through financial constraints, and we are with them. We're going with the demands of the people.
Despite the current challenges faced by Northern Air, they have been able to retain all their staff.
We have 62 staff, and I'm glad to say that none of our staffs have resigned or moved away. We, as management, we have actually done everything in the best interest of the airline and the workers to make sure that we give them certain number of hours so that everybody has a meal on their table every day.
Even though the domestic flights have resumed, Captain Sen believes unless the financial status of Fijians improve, the business will remain slow. He says it will take another 6 months to a year for his services to normalize. Pranita Prakash, FBC News.
National Federation Party President Piuti Kuntuandua claims he is taking legal action against the Fiji police force after he was detained for 36 hours last month. Last week, the Director of Public Prosecutions advised police not to lay charges against Kuntuandua due to insufficient evidence. In a statement, Kuntuandua claims his interview was repeatedly delayed by police and he was kept in custody even though he was ready to answer questions. He says there was no reason for police to detain him in the middle of the night after police officers arrived at his home in Velasui village, Tailevu, just after midnight on 21st April. The NFP president says he wants to ensure that the police are held accountable. Up ahead, school repairs to be cyclone-proof. And Suva's rock market returns.
Pula nadang go approach lang kerse, go erkraki. Do television na barong na radio Fiji 1 nandomo ibiti.
Radio Fiji 1 nandomo ibiti.
The Education Ministry says schools which sustained damages during Tropical Cyclone Harold will be rebuilt to withstand Category 5 cyclones. Close to 60 schools are estimated to have sustained severe or partial damage. Pranita Prakash has more.
The Education Ministry is ensuring that students are housed in proper learning spaces once classes resume.
A lot of schools that have sustained very minor damages, which we should be able to fix before the school opens. But the major ones, especially those like Richmond and Kandavu Provincial, and some damages in Bunisea, Tailevu North. In the central we have actually 2, Bawani Dayal and Tailevu North, which I've visited. Those have sustained damages, and obviously you've got to understand that when we rebuild these schools, we will be building it to better standards.
Minister Rosie Akbar says they have received a report on schools which were extensively damaged last month.
And the ministry is now working with the construction implementation unit within the Ministry of Economy to see how these buildings will be funded and when actually construction will start.
Akbar says a lot of teachers' quarters have also sustained damages and they need to ensure that teachers are also well housed before schools reopen. She says they are working on logistics before work begins. Pranita Prakash, FBC News.
2 major projects have been earmarked for the Nasinu Township, which has a population of over 92,000. Local Government Minister Pramila Kumar says these are the Narere Swimming Pool and the Valelevu Stadium. Kumar says preliminary work for both the projects have started, with design and engineering completed, and they are now in the process of identifying a contractor. She says they are in discussions with the Chinese government to fund the Valelevu Stadium.
We want to turn the Valelevu Stadium into an area where the stadium should be able to have an event center as well, because we do realize that Nasinu is highly populated area, and then they need an events center for various functions that they want to hold.
The Gold FM Rock Market returned to thriving business as people came out in numbers after weeks of lockdown due to COVID-19. Event coordinator Ilana Kaloni-Singha says it was a good time out for families and at the same time keeping in mind the COVID-19 precautionary measures in place. Sainani Boiler reports.
Hundreds turn up to enjoy good food, shopping and accessories the Gold FM Rock Market has to offer after weeks of staying home due to COVID-19.
What today's market really is about is trying to generate some money into the economy and help our vendors get going again, because a lot of our vendors, this is their only source of income. So it's important that we keep the wheels churning and keep our vendors with work, and it's nice to see people coming out.
Kaloni-Singha adds it's important to support small businesses to get back on track. Exhibitor Sophie Poindexter says being able to have human contact after so many weeks is a welcome change.
It's slow, but it's picking up. We're seeing a lot of people over here, which is really good feedback. Good to come back. It feels good. It feels really good. Yeah.
For Bridget Middenway, most of the customers are very mindful of the precautionary measures in place.
Fantastic. It's actually very nice to see people come out, after those many months of being in lockdown, and people are dying to go out and just walk around, but bearing in mind the social distancing.
There were 49 exhibitors compared to the usual 99 in previous rock markets, as the organizers aligned with the government measures in place. This includes social distancing and the use of hand sanitizers and masks. Sainiani Boiler, FBC News.
Allow your passion to become your purpose, and it will one day become your profession. Tonight's Successful Fijian features the Star Jewels Fiji owner, Anastasia Giorgio, who crafts unique handmade rings, earrings and chains to earn a living. For her, passion is priceless. Saniani Boiler reports.
Anastasia Giorgio was pursuing a degree in business management 9 years ago, and the thought of handmade rings as a permanent business never crossed her mind.
When I first started, I didn't take it seriously, like it was just a hobby for me, and then I just did it for fun. But then as time went on, I saw how the demand was there and how the money was good. And I started to invest more into my business and take everything seriously.
The 28-year-old Greek says she saw a niche market that existed in Fiji, and her instinct has paid off.
Star Jewels, that's the name of my business. It's all about, everything is handmade. And I specifically target plus-size women because there's hardly anything out there for us. And colorful, bold statement pieces.
While her small business continues to flourish, Giorgio has faced challenges, but this has not set her back.
We have places here in shops here. I'm very grateful. They sell beads and fittings and everything, but they bring things in a mass supply, and there's a lot of jewelers here, and we end up having the same thing. That's why I moved into wire wrapping.
The mother of one says her skills as crafting jewelry has allowed her to support her family.
Take a day off whenever I want to take a day off. I can just pack up my son and we go to Nandi, come back. It's good. I enjoy it. There's no one telling me what to do.
Giorgio says pursuing your passion, no matter how difficult, will always pay off.
The world, everyone has a talent, and this is my talent, and I love it. I love what I do, and find what you're good at and go for it.
For the Star Jewels director, crafting jewelry from her imagination will continue to be her driving force in life. Sainiani Boiler, FBC News.
Life is slowly returning to normal in New Zealand as Kiwis adapt to the level 2 lockdown. There are over 1,400 COVID-19 cases in New Zealand, but there have been 0 new reports. In sports after the break, Skipper Cup could be held behind closed doors. And Fiji volleyball looks to resume domestic competition soon. Stay with us.
My name is Neha and I'm from Karavi, and Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Fiji's top local rugby competition, the Skipper Cup, might be played behind closed doors for the first time. The Fiji Rugby Union is looking to resume the competition and at the same time minimise the risk of spreading the coronavirus. Tale Matarakula reports the FRU is considering this option as it lays out scenarios to align with their annual calendar.
The Fiji Rugby Union is mapping out ways on how to resume local competitions.
And we are already planning for kickoff. We have written to play protocol, and the protocol will be adjusted depending on government instructions.
The possibility of having Skipper Cup competition played behind closed doors is on the agenda for FRU.
We have no issues about playing matches without fans, but like I said, our return to play protocols allow for compliance to government instructions.
A team that thrives on its fan base when it comes to rugby, Nadronga Rugby Union has thrown its support behind the idea of holding matches without spectators.
We trust that it's going to be for the best interest of both the national interest in terms of this pandemic times and also for the sports.
The Skipper Cup was scheduled to kick off on May 28, but has been on hold since the first confirmed COVID-19 case in the country. At the moment, the FRU's plans are still in draft stages and will all depend on when and if restrictions on contact sports are lifted. Tali Matirkula, FBC Sports.
The Fiji Volleyball Federation is looking to resume all its domestic competitions soon. This comes after sporting restrictions were eased on non-contact sports, including volleyball, with people allowed to play friendly matches, given that the number of participants are not more than 20. Federation President Lingangoki Suva says picking up where they left off with domestic competitions will be first on the agenda.
There are about 5 major competitions that we had packed when the COVID-19 came into the country. It's for the board to sit down next week and relook at what can be done, and in consultation with all of the associations. It's important that inclusiveness is part of our plan moving forward, and we look at which one of the competition that can be done at the quickest time, in line with the requirements that's in place by both the Ministry of Health and the Fiji Police Force.
Eugene Volmer knows making it to the Tokyo Olympic Games will not be easy, given the tough competition provided by fellow athletes Mbanuve Tampkaudoro and Mustafa Fall. The Triple Jump Pacific Games gold medalist says he is up against 2 outstanding athletes who are both record holders hustling for the same dream. The 31-year-old says despite going after similar goals, the 3 share a bond that motivates and pushes them to be the best.
You can't really count them out. They both have very good chances. I'm up against both of them in trying to qualify. The 3 of us all have the same goal. All 3 of us want to try and qualify, and it's been really good because we've become very good friends, and we push each other despite we're trying to compete against each other.
After nearly 5 years playing in France, 2-time Rugby World Cup winner Colin Slade had to make a hurry return from Europe to Christchurch. The coronavirus outbreak saw the former All Blacks self-isolate with fellow club teammate Ben Smith. The German Bundesliga became the first major league in Europe to resume action behind closed doors. Afternoon showers were experienced over Vanua level today. Fine weather conditions prevailed over the rest of the country. Taking a look at the map in the west, it was a fine day all throughout. Eastwards from Pacific Harbour to Suva, mostly sunny conditions apart from a few light showers. And up north, some afternoon showers were experienced in Lambasa and Savo. At sea, a southeasterly wind flow prevails over Fiji waters. Southerly winds 10 to 15 knots, moderate seas. And turning to the tides, high tide is at 3:41 a.m. with low tide at 9:55 tomorrow morning. Sunrise is at 6:26. For tomorrow, expect cloudy conditions and possible showers over most places in the afternoon. Tomorrow's temperatures will be around the 30 degrees area. An outlook for Tuesday, it's cloudy periods with brief showers over the eastern parts and interior of the larger islands. Elsewhere, fine apart from possible afternoon or evening showers. Recapping the main stories for tonight, economic woes to remain for some time. Fiji continues lobbying for travel bubble. And local airline struggles to stay afloat amid COVID-19. Now for these stories and others, tune in daily to our sister radio station Gold FM. Our poll question this week we're asking, should a banking ombudsman be appointed to oversee bank services in Fiji? Visit our FBC News website to answer. And you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj. Share it with us via Facebook page FBC News. You can also follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC_news or hashtag FBC News. And that's it from the news desk this evening. From the team and I, stay safe and have a blessed new week ahead. Good night.
Bula, I'm Miri, I'm from Lotoka and I love Gold FM because they play all my classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.